what's up YouTubers? It's me again, Brian, aka Gamer55551, and I am back with a special video for this year, for this one. And for today, we are going to be taking a look at both the good, the controversial and mixed, and the bad in terms of regarding video games for this year, for 2016 though. And this year saw some ups and downs as well. Some things, and like I said, some things definitely were great for some companies. Others certainly got attention they did not want to get, and other ones, of course, were not great this year for them, though. So it's a three-parter there. So when we get started with part one, we take a look at the goods. Now, some of these stories, I'm going to try to see if I could fit some of the links in the description for some of these stories, though. I'm not going to be able to get. I may not be able to get any of them there, so if I can't find the link though, I'm sorry, or if I can't fit it in to when I upload the video, I apologize for that though. And again, I do want to point out these are what I looked at, what was good this year, what was controversial, and what was bad this year. So why don't we get started off with the goods? And I will say the goods for this year though, I have to say this was a good year for the PS4 though, and once again the PS4 continues to perform well as usual, as always though. It had some bumps where Xboxone overtook the PS4, but in terms of presentation, in terms of what games they had to offer though, very well for Sony. I mean, Uncharted 4 was a fun game, of course though. Their presentation was certainly good though. They had a really good presentation of what they were showing though. God of War looked great though. Still a little iffy. There's still some areas about the story I need to know, but that was good. Spider-Man as well. And of course PS4 sold like about, I think last time I checked, it reached about 50 million units sold so far though, and that's not bad. I mean, that's not bad though. I mean, it may not be at the level of the Wii was though, although bear in mind when the Wii came out, that was aimed towards sort of a casual market, however. So, but still, that's very good though. And of course, and the other thing I'll bring up is Xbox One certainly did better though. I mean, it's certainly not dethroning PS4, but it's certainly catching up after the poor launch back in 2013. And one thing I will say is the one thing that the Xbox One sort of has a advantage over the PS4 is, one of the big things is now it's backwards compatible though, which in my opinion I think that's better than what Sony's doing with their PlayStation now though. So that's good for them. So I believe that's a positive for them though. Although their E3 presentation hit and miss in some areas though. The other thing is for Nintendo though, there were some positive things for Nintendo this year though. The Fire Emblem Fate game did very well, and it's now starting to become an established IP, which is good though. And the fact that we're also going to see a mobile version of the game. How the mobile version will play out though, who knows? But good news for Fire Emblem fans though. Breath of the Wild was also good as well, and surprisingly, I was a little bit concerned about them showing only that game at E3 though, but I will say their presentation on that one was good. No stupid skits or anything, just straight to the point though, and it certainly became the most talked about game in E3. Certainly was something that they needed though with it, but overall, Breath of the Wild was definitely good as well, and not to mention 3DS doing well in terms of sales though. And of course, and finally, at least for what I thought was good this year, the Nintendo Switch, or should I say the announcement part. When it came to showing off the Switch for the first time, especially on YouTube though, it definitely hit the right marks in terms of like what the system is, what is it capable. I mean, not what's capable, but what the system is and what it's all about. I think, in my opinion, as far as the announcement trailer goes, it did what the it did what the Wii U couldn't do, and it didn't make it as confusing as, like the Wii U was. Now, That doesn't mean that there can't be any hiccups along the way. That doesn't mean that Nintendo won't shoot themselves in the foot, though. There are so many ways they could screw this up, and we still got to keep an eye out for that. But as far as the announcement part goes, I have to say the Switch is off to a good start, though. Alright, so we'll take a little break. When we come back, I'm going to be talking about the controversial and mixed part of 2016 regarding video games. So we'll take a little break, and we will be right back. Okay, and we are back with part 2 of our video, and for the second part, we are going to be looking at both the controversial and sort of the mixed response to a lot of events that happened in terms of video games in 2016. So let's get started with the first one, and this one certainly everyone's probably heard of, is No Man's Sky, though. The game that was originally showed off and made all these promises, though, of basically what the game's all about, but of course when everyone eventually picked it up, though, it turned out to be not the game they were hoping for, as it felt, and many went as far as accusing it felt like an early access game, to basically though feel like that the developers lied about the game, though. Now, I tried the game out, and I get what they were trying to accomplish and pulled, but at the same time, I can also understand people's criticism about the game. And to some degree, it does come off that they promised way more than they should have, and I think I can understand people feeling that the game basically felt like they were being misled or anything like that. Supposedly, they will basically update and bring stuff that should have been there in the first place, but given the amount of damage done to it, it will be interesting to see if people are willing to give No Man's Sky another chance, or they are like done with it, completely done with it. Okay, so the next one up is the CS:GO Go controversy. For those who are unfamiliar with it, let me get the page though, if I could get it. Let's see. Okay, here we go. The scandal, though. So basically, it's a skin betting thing for games like Counter-Strike or anything. Now, I'm not big on multiplayer-only games, though, and I'm not too thrilled with the idea of betting skins or anything like that, though, you know, online gaming in general. But what really got people's attention, though, was the fact that basically some of these people that are like Pro Syndicate and all that stuff basically were promoting their YouTube page on the whole fact that you can make certain amount of money when you bet on skins and all that stuff. But one little detail really got their attention, and that is basically the fact that they didn't disclose the fact that they own these sites, you know, that create, you know, these online betting thing, and that really set the whole thing off, though. Currently right now, I don't know if the lawsuit is still going on or if it's pending or anything like that, but it's just like, for example, here's a bit of the article. It says these skins can then be sold on Steam's Valve game marketplace for Steam credit or sold on third-party sites for real cash. Skins can also be gambled with the Meredith, pardon me if I'm saying the name wrong, of sites for casino-style chances games to sportsbook sites that take action on just about every level of competitive Counter-Strike. Many argue that this gaming culture around the matches has served to boost viewership, particularly at those at lower level. How did this scandal started, though? Before the big names, personalities that attract mainstream attentions were dragged in, there was MOE Mohammed Assad, a streamer and former pro player who has just recently completed a much acclaimed stint as an analyst on ELEAGUE. A popular streamer, M0E was sponsoring by gambling site CSGO Diamond, and the stream himself on Twitch, gambling on the site. After falling out, MOE or M0E threatened to expose the site for failing to pay him money he felt he was owed. M0E also claimed that CSO Go Diamond had, without him asking, told him outcomes of games in advance so he could fix the results and create entertainment on his stream. CSGO Diamond swiftly responded, however, showing that M0E had indeed asked for results. M0E was also playing with skins provided by him by the site or house money. This was never disclosed to viewers, and we now know this common practice in the industry. Most streamers who broadcast themselves gambling were never winning or losing their own money. They were simply playing with chips that they were not able to cash out. So, to make a long story short, though, it came off as basically like a scam, though. And so right now, supposedly, some of these people, these pro syndicate people who promote the site, are basically try to sort of downplay the controversy and all. So we'll see how far that one goes, though. But yeah, not good, not very good, though. All right, so the next story, the next one up for the controversial and mix has to be Tracer from Overwatch. Now, I'm sure you're probably aware Overwatch is a really big multiplayer-only game that has really caught the attention of a lot of gamers, though. I tried the game out on the PS4, though. It didn't interest me. Not that I hate the game, it's just that I'm not big on multiplayer-only game, though. And although the game has gotten some controversies. One of them is sort of the issue with the loot box, though. Some people don't like how that's being handled. But the one that I thought caught a lot of attention was the fact that was Tracer in one of her poses that she do that shows off her. It's referred to as Tracer's butt pose, and supposedly the argument is that people are pretty much upset over Bethesda's decision to remove it, though. Some even going far as blaming SJWs, progressive on it, though. Personally, and this is coming from my opinion alone, as not only a left of center but progressive person, though, I will say that being that it's Blizzard's game, they have a right to decide whether they want to change Tracer's pose or not, though. It's their game, it's their decision. That said, having seen the pose myself, though, I don't see what the big deal is. I don't see why they needed to change the pose. I think it was a bit unnecessary, though. I think that they should have just kept it, though, but it certainly got a lot of people's attention as well. So personally, yes, I agree it's Blizzard's game, but I think Blizzard kind of overreacted, though. Alright, the next one is basically Bethesda's review policy, and this is sort of a bit of a controversy, though. The decision about certainly sending out games for reviewers to review at a certain time, though. Some of it is like a post-launch review, post-launch review embargo, or sending reviews on the day the game comes out, though. Now, there are some arguments for it, and there's certainly arguments against it. For it, though, I will agree, though, that it is Bethesda's game. They could choose to send out review codes if they want to. They could choose to send it on launch day. They could choose to send it after the game comes out. It is their game. They have a right to do that. I won't argue with that. I will, however, agree with the criticism about this decision, because we saw how this played out when Assassin's Creed Unity came out and Sonic Boom Rise of the Lyrics came out, when both Sega and Ubisoft got themselves into a whole whirlwind of trouble over the review embargoes, where they launched their game when they gave out review codes after the game was launched, though, and the amount of bugs and glitches on those games really damaged the companies, though, particularly with Ubisoft with Assassin's Creed, which, because of their actions with Unity, that spilled over to Assassin's Creed Syndicate, a game that got a better response, but did not sell as well as Ubisoft hoped it did. And I'm worried about this decision Bethesda does, though. I mean, I like the games Bethesda has put out, though. Skyrim, Wolfenstein: The New Order, Evil Within, Doom, though, Dishonored, though, and I'm worried that they can argue say it worked with Wolfenstein and Doom all they want to, but all it takes is an Assassin's Creed Unity or Sonic Boom Rise of the Lyrics situation to really do a lot of damage to Bethesda, though. And I really think, in my opinion, I think they need to change their review policies, though. Their policies in terms of sending out review codes for their games, however. I mean, yes, they have a right to do what they want to do, but I don't agree with the decision for them to do it. It's also one of the reasons why I decided I won't be pre-ordering Bethesda's games going forward because of this, though. And finally, last but not least, I won't call this a controversial, but I will call it sort of a mixed response, and that is mods on PS4, though. I'm pretty sure most of you are aware of this year, though. There were talks from Bethesda, of course, about trying to bring mods to the PS4, but supposedly Sony supposedly had some issues with Sony compared to doing it on PC and Xbox, though. But later this year, though, we got confirmation that mods were coming to not only Skyrim but Fallout 4. However, there was a catch, and the catch of it was that it was only A, in-game items only, and B, you cannot basically in-game items only, and B, it also disables your trophies. So those who are hunting trophies, though, if you're going to use mods, you're not going to be able to hunt for any more trophies. My take from it is kind of a mixed response, though. On one hand, though, I'm pleased that mods are on the PS4, though. I'm not against mods. I'm not against anybody using mods. They're not a big deal for me, but... Hey, Hammy, come on. Rocky, my cat, though. I mean, they're not a big deal for me, but I'm not against anybody using mods, though. So, on one hand, I'm happy that mods are on the PS4. On the other hand, I do think the limitation might turn some people off compared to what you could do on the PC or an Xbox One, for example. So, it's kind of a mixed bag on the mods one, though. Alright. Oh, hey, Rocky, come on. That's my cat. That's okay. Alright, so we'll take a little break and we'll come back. We'll be talking about what I thought was bad this year for video games in 2016. So we'll take a little break and we will be right back. And we are back with part 3 of our video, and for this third one we are going to take a look at the third and final one. That is, take a look at the bad, what was not that great this year for 2016 in terms of video games go. Okay, and again, like I said, this is sort of my list, though. I'm sure a lot of people will have different things, different views, though, but this is based on what I thought, of course, was good, controversial, and bad. So let's get started with the bad. So let's get started with our last one, the bad, though. Alright, and so the bad one, I would have to say, would be a lot of AAA games not performing well, and some good examples were Battleborn, Titanfall 2, and Watch Dogs as well. Both not performing as well as the publishers and developers had hoped for, though. And I think a lot of that is the publishers or developers' bad decisions that they made that has certainly came and sort of bit them sort of in the ass, though. For Watch Dogs, though, I think the damage that the first game did in terms of the fact that people felt like, the whole graphics issue where the first Watch Dogs was downgraded, though, I think that misleading, though, certainly may have impacted the sales for Watch Dogs 2, though. I think some of it may be it was released against like a lot of games and all, but I think that certainly was another factor, though. Titanfall 2, another game that I tried out that was actually, I think, is better than Call of Duty as well, did not perform as well, and I think a lot of that is EA's bad decision to release it between Battlefield 1 and Call of Duty Infinite Warfare, though. Although I heard Infinite Warfare wasn't doing well either, but nowhere near the level as Titanfall 2 was. So I think this was a bad decision on EA's part, to thinking that if you release both these games together, that they'll both do well, and obviously that was not the case. And then, of course, Battleborn, the so-called MOBA-style game from Gearbox, though, that also did not perform very well, though. And I think a lot of that may be the fact that the game was released around the same time that Overwatch came out. I think that hurt them. But I also think another reason why that game did not perform well was, of course, the fact that this is the same Gearbox that, of course, released Alien Colonial Marines. You know, the famous game that their CEO, Randy Pitchford, said that they were working on and all that stuff, only to find out they were not working on it at all. And the fact that they lied and misled people. I kind of can't help but think that's one of the reasons why Battleborn did not perform well, was that people are still not willing to forgive Gearbox for what they did with Alien Colonial Marines. Argue if you could beat it with a dead horse, but I said this last year and I'm going to say it here. As long as Gearbox refuses to apologize for what they did with Alien Colonial Marines, that game will never die. People are going to find a way to bring it up to Gearbox and Randy Pitchford, and until they come out openly admitted that what they did was wrong, that game's not going away. And I think the actions of Colonial Marines, may have spilled over to Battleborn as well. Yes, I think Overwatch releasing around the same time Overwatch didn't help, but I think Colonial Marines may have done some damage as well, though. So, overall, for a lot of AAA games, it was not a good year for them. Especially a lot of them were being, because of the actions of what the developers did in the past, to just being released way too close to each other, though. The next one, and this one kind of stings a little bit for me, though, and that has to be is Platinum Games. Now, I like the games Platinum has put out before. Mad World, Bayonetta 2, The Wonderful 101, though, Vanquish, though, but I have to say this was not a great year for them for several reasons, though, alright? They released 2 games that came here, and both did not perform as well. The first one was, I think, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Mutant in Manhattan, though, and I heard that did not get a high response. And the other one, which I'm going to bring down, is Star Fox Zero. I will discuss that a little bit later. So, this was certainly not a good year for them, though. And I'm hoping next year is better, though. Recently, the demo for Square Enix upcoming hack and slash Nier, I think that's Neir. Again, if I'm spelled it wrong, I apologize, though. But having played the demo, though, it definitely has that Platinum feel to it. So I'm hoping next year is better for Platinum than it was for this year, though. Alright, the next one is, of course, and this one you can't talk about 2016 without mentioning this, and that's Mighty Number 9. And the amount of controversy that game generated, though. And quite frankly, when it finally came out, it really did some damage. Not only that, but to also crowdfunding in general, though. Little disclaimer, though, I did back Mighty Number 9, however, though, so I do want to give that disclaimer out, though. And I do feel, after seeing the final product, I do feel a little bit cheated on the way Mighty Number 9 was handled, though. I think a lot of this was, the developers were basically... in my opinion, I think they bit off more than they chew. I think they were focused on doing so many things for Mighty Number 9, they didn't focus on just getting the game out and having it function and work properly. Especially after the whole Red Ash debacle, when they decided to launch a Kickstarter for another game, not waiting until this game came out, though. And of course, let's not forget the infamous, the trailer, the famous make the bad guys cry like an anime fan on prom night, though. Yeah, that just added more and more to it, though. But as far as we'll ever see a sequel, though, I don't know. I mean, after how Mighty Number 9 was handled, I don't know about that, and I don't know how. And we'll see. Hopefully, next year's Ukulele and 2018 Bloodstained Ritual of the Night can show that crowdfunding, not every game will be like a Mighty Number 9 situation, though. I mean, there are games that have succeeded with crowdfunding. Shantae's Half Genie, Shovel Knight, though. Of course, I brought up Ukulele, Bloodstained Ritual of the Night. All those, little disclaimer, all those games I backed on Kickstarter, though. So, I'm hoping with Yooka-Laylee, I'm hoping it can make up for where Mighty Number 9 did damage, though. So, very sad that this happened, but a lot of it was just a lot of bad decision on Concept's part, though. Alright, the next one is Star Fox Zero, and this sort of ties into the one I'm talking about Platinum games, though, and as a Nintendo fan, this is sad. This is, like, really sad how this was being handled, though. I mean, I've been looking forward to another Star Fox game for a while. Not since, you know, and for a lot of us, we've been waiting since the N64 days. I mean, Star Fox Adventure was okay, but it wasn't a traditional Star Fox game. Star Fox Assault tried to return back to its roots, though, but it was not only a bit short, which was a little disappointing, though, but some decisions like the on-foot area didn't turn out as well as they should have been. Star Fox Command, better than Assault, but some decisions I did not like, such as the fact that in order to control your plane, in order to, you know, move your plane up, down, left, or right, you had to use the stylus, which I think was a pretty stupid decision to do, though. And then Star Fox Zero, which I think could have been a better game, could have been a good game, but the one thing that held the game back was the controls. The decision to force a motion control was a bad idea. I don't know what Miyamoto was thinking when he was trying to push this idea, push for the motion control. In fact, it came off as like they had to do something with the Wii U. They had to do something with the gamepad, and it just made the game virtually difficult to enjoy, though. While it is possible to sort of go around the motion controls in a certain degree, though, it just made it virtually difficult to just enjoy the game, and that's really sad because I was looking forward to another Star Fox game. And for what I understand, the game did not do well in terms of sales, though. And I'm currently not shocked, though. I hope that another Star Fox game will happen, though. But I wouldn't. But after the way Star Fox Zero was handled, though, it just would be sad if the series is just reduced to just making an appearance, a cameo appearance in like Smash Bros. Or something. So hopefully another game will happen, but I certainly hope lessons were learned for Star Fox Zero. And for crying out loud, don't put fancy controls in. But if you are, for God's sakes, put a traditional control scheme in there. Not everyone's going to be down with the gimmicky kind of controls, alright? Please just do that, Nintendo. If you're going to do another Star Fox game, please make sure a traditional control scheme is there. Alright, so the next one we'll be talking about is Fireforge Games closing. Now, I never heard of this studio other than just recently after the studio closed, though, and for what I understand, they have done a lot of PC games, though. The thing that made them close was the fact that they released a Ghostbusters video game based off of the 2016 controversial Ghostbuster movie, which I'll save that for another video, though, when I do my good, controversial, and bad on movies, though. And after the game came out, a couple of days later, the studio closed, though, and filed for bankruptcy. For what I understand, the game not only performed poorly, but it turned out to be that the developers only had like about 8 months. That's right, 8 months, supposedly, to work on the game, though. And that was unbelievable, though. I've seen the game in action myself, and it just... I mean, the only good thing I can say is that I definitely dig the art style, but that's basically it. Everything else just looks bad. And people were upset that they were charging $50 for a game that they think should have been charged much lower than what it was. So it unfortunately became a victim. Unfortunately, it became a victim for the whole Ghostbuster controversy. So it's really sad that this happened to Fireforge, but they were caught in the middle with the whole Ghostbusters controversy, though. Alright, and the next one I will talk about is the Wii U. And let's be honest with you, folks. As a longtime Nintendo fan, this pains me to say this, but there's really no other way of looking about it. This year was pretty much the end for the Wii U. Had only a couple games that came out, though. Probably the only good ones that I could think of that came out this year for it was Tokyo Mirage Session and Paper Mario Color Splash. And I think Darksiders War Master Edition was released. I'm not sure if it has been yet or not, though. But it's obviously clear, though, that Nintendo is pretty much done with the Wii U, though. And to a degree, I think that's sad. I really do, because I think the Wii U had potential if Nintendo just understand what they were going up against, and they actually marketed the damn thing, though, and they didn't. And the sad thing is that I feel like they were thinking that the name itself was going to sell it, much like the Wii did, and it didn't click, though. So it's very unfortunate that this happened to the Wii U, but I'm just not shocked about it, though. And finally, last but certainly not least, you got to talk about the last one, though, and that is Street Fighter V and the controversy that game came out. Now, some of the biggest controversy about that game was a lot of content were missing. A lot of people were upset over the fact that Capcom had the balls to charge, I think, $60 for a game that had little to no content and came off as sort of like an early access game. And that really upset a lot of people, and I think it impacted the sales of the game, however. Now, from what I understand, there is more content into it now than it was at launch, though. But it's not a good thing to launch that kind of game in that condition, though. And the fact that some of the argument was that they launched it to cater to only esports audiences, though. And, well, that's all fine and dandy, but you don't want to alienate the longtime fans that have been there, though, alright? So, it was not a great year for Street Fighter V, in a way, though. Supposedly, from what I understand, the game is better now, but they should have had all these features ready to go when the game launched, though, or at least have a full package ready to go so far. Alright, this concludes my 2016 look at the good and controversial and bad in terms of video games, though. And again, these are my opinions. What are yours, though? Do you agree with what I just said? Do you disagree, though? Do you think this was a good year for Sony, Microsoft, Nintendo? Do you think it was a mixed year? Do you think it was a bad year for them, though? Do you have a different look at what you thought was good, controversial, and bad, though? As always, sound off on the comment section below. Let me know what you think, though. And I hope you hit the like button. I would appreciate it, though. And I hope you subscribe to my YouTube channel, alright? So this concludes this video, and it's evening here in Southern California, so I'll be getting myself ready for bed. So I will see you again next time when I do another video, alright? So from Southern California, I wish you all not only a good evening, though, but I also wish you guys a happy holidays as well. So, till then, happy holidays, and I will see you again next time. Bye!